Welcome to Ani the Commerce Guru channel. This is Mr. Anish Parameshwaran, your own commerce teacher. Dear students, let's have a new topic today. The topic is characteristic features of management. It's a topic from chapter 1 of Business Studies, class 12th. I repeat the topic: characteristic features of management. So before we begin, let's see the learning objectives. After going through this topic, the learner would be able to understand the characteristic features of management, analyze management as a multi-dimensional concept. Dear students, I'm going to concentrate on two things today. One is obviously the characteristics of management. The other one is a technique of by-hearting points in business studies. The technique is called as mnemonics. At the end, we will see how we could utilize mnemonic to by heart the points without much difficulties. Now let's see the characteristics of management one by one. Number one, it's goal oriented. Number two, it's a continuous process. Number three, management is a social process. Number four, management is an intangible force. Number five, management is pervasive. Number six, management is a group activity. Number seven, management is dynamic function. And number eight, management is multi-dimensional. So I repeat, 8 characteristics of management is given here. Number one, it's goal oriented. Number two, it's a continuous process. Number three, management is a social process. Number four, it is intangible force. Number five, management is pervasive. Number six, management is a group activity. Then 7, management is a dynamic function. And number 8, management is multi-dimensional. Management is multi-dimensional. So 8 in all, we could say that 8 characteristics of management is given. You need to learn these 8 different characteristics of management. Okay, now it's time for us to see these characteristics in detail. Let's see one by one. The first one is management is goal oriented. Let's see. Each organization is set up to achieve certain predetermined goals. I repeat, each organization is set up to achieve certain predetermined objectives or goals. The efforts of the management will always be directed to achieve these goals. So every organization is set up to achieve some goals, to fulfill some objectives. Therefore, the management in that organization will always work for, will always target for to achieve these goals or these objectives. Thus, we could say that management is goal oriented. So the first feature, the first characteristics of management is goal oriented, because every organization is set up to achieve certain goals, and management in that organization will always directed towards achieving these goals. So management is goal oriented. Let's see the second characteristics of management. That's management is an ongoing or continuous process. Management is a continuous process. Already you have seen in the earlier lecture that management is a process. Management is a process. We know that process of planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. This thing we have seen in the earlier lecture. So first we will plan. In that lecture I told you that there is a sequence between these activities. We need to maintain that sequence, that order we need to, then only we could call it as a process. So we begin with the planning, then organizing, then staffing, then directing, then controlling. So these are the different activities or functions performed in the process of management: planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. But after controlling, the management process will not come to an end. For the next period, based on the controlling, for the next period again we will plan, then we organize, staff, direct, control. So this process, this will go on like this till the organization exists. These activities, these functions will also exist. So these functions will continue. So we could say that management is an ongoing or continuous process. So I repeat: planning, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling. Then again we plan for future. These activities, this process, these functions will continue till the organization exists. So we could say that this is a continuous process. Management is a continuous process. The third characteristic of management is a social process. Again, you know the word meaning of social. The meaning of the word social. Social means something related to people. Something related to people. That's social. So management is a social process because the activities performed to achieve the goals are largely concerned with people in the organization. If human resources are activated, all other resources will be in motion. So management is a social process because in management, the managers perform different activities to achieve the goals through the people in the organization. So it's related to people in the organization. Management is concerned with people in the organization. So we could say that management is a social process. Then the fourth feature of management, fourth characteristics of management, that's management is an intangible force. Management is an intangible force. Intangible means which cannot be touched. Management is intangible, invisible force that cannot be seen or touched, but its presence can be felt in the way the organization functions. When we compare two or more organizations, very often we say, that organization is very good, that school is very good, that hotel is very good, that hospital is very good, yet that hospital is not good. We always comment like this. Dear children, our comments actually are based on the efficiency or effectiveness of management works in that organization. We say an organization is good or bad based on the performance of management in that organization. So management we cannot touch or we cannot see, but we can feel the presence of management. We can feel the presence. Therefore, we could say that management is an intangible force. Management is an intangible force which we cannot touch or we cannot see, but we can feel the presence of management in an organization. So that's the fourth characteristics of management. Management is an intangible force. Number 5, fifth characteristics of management. Management is all pervasive. Management is all pervasive. The meaning of the word pervasive means which exists everywhere. So management is all pervasive. Let's see. The process of management is required at all type of organization irrespective of their nature, place or purpose. It's also required at all levels of the organization. Thus, management is said to be pervasive. We know that whether it is a political organization, whether it is a religious organization or a social organization, profit-making organization or not-for-profit making whatever type of organization, and whether the organization situates in India or in United States of America or in any part of the world, that organization requires management. That organization need to be managed. So we could say that since management exists everywhere in all type of organization, in all levels of management, like top level, middle level, lower level, everywhere management is needed. So we can say that management is pervasive. Management is pervasive, and I told already the meaning of the word pervasive means that exists everywhere. So management is needed to all type of organization, all levels of management. So we could say that management is all pervasive. Now, the next characteristic feature of management is a group activity. Management is a group activity. Management is a group activity as every organization consists of group of people who work together for the attainment of the organizational goals. So management is a group activity because in all organizations we know that group of people working together to achieve the organizational goals. So, group of people. So since group of people in an organization and management is concerned with the getting things done through these people, we could say that management is a group activity. So for 6 points we have seen 6 points of characteristics of management. Now the next characteristics of management is a dynamic function. The word dynamic is a common term. The meaning is behaving according to the situations. Management adapts itself to changes and makes use of the principles, techniques, and methods with respect to the changing environment. When the environment changes, when a change occurs in the environment, management brings those changes to the organization and adapts to such changes in the environment. when the changes takes place in environment, correspondingly the managers respond to such changes which help the organization to survive. Thus, we could say that management is a dynamic function. And now we are moving on to the last characteristic feature of management, that is, management is multidimensional. Management is multidimensional. Management is a complex activity which involves the following three main dimensions. Number one, management of work, management of people, management of operations. I repeat, number one, management of work, number two, management of people, and number three, management of operations. So, management has got three phases: work, people, and operation. Management of work means in each and every organization, certain type of work is to be performed. Management converts these work into goals and devises the means to achieve them. So management in all organization is targeted to perform certain work to achieve the desired goals or objectives. So one of the phase of management is work. Then second is management of people. Management is concerned with a very difficult task of getting things done through people. So obviously they need to manage people. So that's the second phase, the second dimension of management, that is people. And obviously management of operation, that's the third phase of management. In order to survive, each organization has to provide certain goods or services. It requires converting inputs into outputs. Converting input into output is called as operation. So in all organization, every type of organization, they need to convert the input into output. That's called as operation. So management has to manage the operations in the organization also. So there are three phases of management: management of work, management of people, and management of operation. So since management is having these three phases, we call management as a multi-dimensional. Management is multi-dimensional. Hope it is clear. So once again, let's see the characteristics of management. As I said, eight characteristics, features of management we have seen so far. Let's consolidate them once again. Number one, management is goal oriented. Number two, management is a continuous process. Number three, management is a social process. Next characteristics, management is an intangible force. Fifth one is management is all pervasive. Sixth one is management is a group activity. Seventh, it's a dynamic function. And eighth, it is multidimensional. We have completed our topic, characteristics of management. But now the real problem comes. If I ask you what are the characteristics of management, then I'm very much sure that it would be difficult for you people to recall all these 8 characteristics. And in business study, it's a common problem faced by the students. So, to memorize all these 8 characteristics of management, we are going to use the technique of mnemonic. Mnemonic means pattern of letters which help us to recall or memorize something. The mnemonic that we are going to use to by heart the characteristics of management, the 8-point characteristic of management is managers gossip in GD. I repeat, managers gossip in GD. Here, the letters given in red color bold letters. That pattern is our mnemonic, that is gossip and GD. Managers gossip in GD. Gossip means informal talk about other people's life, normally unkind to them. And the word gossip has got 2 S, letters S repeat, but for the sake of creating a mnemonic, we took only one S in gossip. And GD means group discussion. You know, it's a very common thing with regard to managers, group discussion. So in the group discussions, managers gossip. In the group discussion, managers gossip about others. This is our mnemonic, gossip in GD. Now let's see how it's going to help us in recalling or memorizing our characteristics of management. G for goal oriented. I repeat, G for goal oriented. The second letter of our gossip, that is O. O for ongoing process. O for ongoing process. Third letter in our gossip, that is S. S for social process. S for social process. Gossip, GOS is over now. The fourth letter in our mnemonic, that is I. I for intangible force. I for intangible force. Management is intangible. Now the fifth letter in gossip, that is P. P for pervasive. Management is pervasive. P for pervasive. Managers gossip in GD, that's our mnemonic. So now GD, group discussion. G for group activity. I repeat, G for group activity. Management is a group activity. Now the last letter in our mnemonic, that is D. D is meant for 2 of the characteristics of management. One is dynamic. Management is dynamic. The other one is dimension, means management is multi-dimensional. Management is multi-dimensional. So if someone asks you, what are the characteristics of management? What are the characteristics of management? Then the answer is very simple. It is managers gossip in GD. This is the characteristics of managers. Gossip in GD. G for goal oriented. O for ongoing process. S for social process. I for intangible force. P for pervasive. G for group activity. D for dynamic activity, and multidimensional. Hope you have learned the technique of using mnemonic to by heart answers with different points and the topic as well. Thank you.